All right, let's call the Plant and Equipment Committee meeting together this Tuesday, November 7th, 2023. And we'll start out with any public or committee comments. I guess there is none. I don't see anybody on the phone. Nothing from the committee. All right, number 3, acceptance of contract work from Canyon Springs Enterprises. That's the construction of the million gallon Gateway Reservoir and the 1 million gallon Zone C Reservoir and the 0.55 million gallon. Oh, wow, it's out there. All right, so what we got there?
Yes, as you said, it's for 3 reservoirs at Gateway, C-Zone, and College. So that work has been completed by Canyon Springs Enterprises. All 3 of the new reservoirs have been put in service, and work was completed ahead of schedule. And in the memo, you'll see a breakdown of the original contract amount and the contract change orders. We had several for various reasons, changes in an altitude valve model, a masonry subcontractor that would originally bid on it went out of business. We had to get a change in the subcontractor. Let's see, additional thrust blocks that had to be removed, modifications to pipings, those kinds of things. So the change orders amounted to about 1.1% of the original contract amount. So
Okay.
the total adjusted contract amount is $4,753,933.19.
And so you'll be looking for the board to accept the
Yes.
contract in accordance with the contract documents, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, all
Once
right.
the board accepts that, then a notice of completion will be filed. Then following the lien period, the retention would be released.
All right, so Ty, you paying for this out of your pocket? Is that how it's done, or no?
Out of your pocket.
And, is it coming out of the?
So some of this came out of the 2018 COP proceeds,
Okay,
and the rest was out of reserves that we had.
okay. How much was out of reserves?
I don't remember. I think it ended up being probably around $2 million between this and the booster station.
Okay, okay, all right. Stan, you got any questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that George and the staff you're actually recommending that the board go along with this, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have any
I don't have any
questions.
problem with it, too, so I
If
think
George is happy, I'm happy.
so our committee recommends acceptance then for the board, which will come to a board vote next Monday.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so noted.
That was an easy one, no hard questions. How long you been working on this project? That project started how long ago?
Couple years.
2 years
we're
at least, right?
now.
Yeah. All right. All right, number 4, dedication of facilities, Town Place Suites by the Marriott.
Okay, so this is a hotel that's going up to the east of Taco Bell, so Ward
Okay.
and Chelsea.
Right,
So there were some minor water system improvements that they had to make. So they had to tie into our existing 12-inch main on Ward. They installed 34 feet of 8-inch PVC and 31 feet of 6-inch PVC. So that's for fire, the 8-inch, and then the 6-inch is for domestic and irrigation. So not a huge amount. They have down here at $3,261, but that work has been completed. Their fire service detector check has been tested. The others will be tested before they can get any meters set. So, and they can't apply for meters, get meters until the board accepts their work.
okay, all right, because I was gonna ask you, because I noticed they're still working out there, and we're
yeah.
accepting this already.
They
Yes.
started construction long before they started any of the water stuff. So.
Okay,
Can I ask you a question? What size meters are they proposing to install?
They're putting in a 4-inch domestic and a 2-inch irrigation meter.
Okay.
okay, I see the 2-inch meter on their breakdown here, I don't see the 4-inch.
Yeah, I don't see it on there either, but this
Okay.
is what was provided to us, so.
Didn't the state just make permanent the prohibition of grass on commercial?
Yeah, I'm not sure, I don't know if that's a state requirement or not, but I don't believe it is. So yeah, as far as we know, we're gonna xeriscape. They don't have anything there yet, they're still doing construction,
Yeah,
right?
Like the question
2-inch
was
seems
because
kind
what's
of
the-
large, but
What's the 2-inch landscaping for?
Well, they're probably gonna have, I'm
The
guessing,
landscape.
they can have some trees and
Yeah,
some
they go through
plants.
the city to get their landscape plan approved.
Right,
Okay.
but the 4-inch meter's not on here, is that a oversight, or is it just?
It may be an oversight on their part of their engineer that provided this list, so.
Okay,
um,
Another thing is the
Yeah.
state is pushing hard on separate irrigation meters for all
right,
commercial,
yeah,
so that we can, they differentiate between what they're actually using for their business versus what's just being wasted on irrigation.
and that's what they've done
Makes
here,
sense
right?
for a large facility, wouldn't make sense for a barber shop or
No,
a small restaurant, but
to be honest with you, they're putting the 2-inch meter on here is for their irrigation outside, I suppose, and then 4 inches for the,
It's for domestic.
for the use of the facility,
Yeah, they don't appear to have everything on here, but.
yeah, okay. I was saying 2 inch seems like a large meter for that small
vector check
area,
isn't on there.
but that's what they want, yeah.
are you gonna have some figures, diagrams and tables of what they paid for and,
This is it,
and
it's in your list, last page,
that's all?
very last page that was attached to your. Like this,
Yeah, it's in your handouts there.
yeah, he's getting there. Last,
Hey,
very last page, there it is.
Yeah, okay, oh, okay. All right.
And then, of course, they signed the dedication paperwork there with the guarantee for 2 years.
So are you, does the board need to accept this as,
Yeah, recommendation that the board
yeah,
accept the dedication, yes.
the dedication for it? Okay. I don't see a problem, except for that 4-inch meter not being on there, if that needs to be added.
I can see if I can ask the engineer. They're not always super responsive.
Yeah.
They're very busy, and see if he wants to update that, because you can see the date on that was prepared in 2020, so.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But I think, I have no problem with recommending dedication to the facility with a needed correction, if be it, yeah, if you get hold of them.
Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Stan? Any problem just dedicating that to our, to the water district? Really not very much. That's because the main lines, and everything were out there, correct?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, so it's
Yeah,
just.
this is just
signing.
connections to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I see the 2-inch meter, on this table, I don't see the 4-inch.
Renee's gonna check that to see, like you see if this was prepared in 3/2/2020, and she's gonna contact them and see if we need to make a modification, add that meter in.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that's missing.
Oh, okay, and that is the only thing that is missing?
This is,
That and the detector check isn't on there either, for the fire service.
oh, for the fire service, yeah, okay. So providing those, should we get that clear information by the board meeting, then I don't have a problem dedicating.
And
if we get that
normally,
information.
normally the district supplies the meter, the 2-inch meter, but not the 4-inch.
Okay, so you're saying they might have put the, okay.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll find out.
I will contact them and see if we can get an
Yeah,
updated
so-
cost, so that the resolution is correct on the
Right, yeah,
value of the
because it's gonna be a
facilities.
resolution, so it has to be correct. So I have no problem dedicating with those potential corrections.
Yeah, I guess I would not like to see them combine the 2-inch meter with their other meter, and make sure that we still do have 2 meters, right?
Yeah, they do.
Okay,
Just a matter, it's not listed on here for dedication to the district.
It's on the plans, it was installed.
Yeah, it's on the plans and installed.
okay. Okay, so do you want us to actually recommend that the board pass this?
Yes.
I think when
Okay,
it,
I'll-
yeah, when it comes up, one of us can just, we'll look it over, and if it's
Okay,
got everything
I'll
on it.
recommend it,
Yeah, thank
If
you.
you,
All right.
if you want to second it, so that the
Yeah,
committee can
definitely,
actually
we
say
both recommend it,
we
yes.
propose that we
Yeah.
adopt the,
Right.
Yeah, I will try to call the engineer. The problem is, we work only till tomorrow, through tomorrow, and the word packet will go out tomorrow for Monday, so.
That's right, we have a holiday coming up, don't we?
Yeah, Veterans Day, and then, of course, it's a flex week, so.
Well, you can, yeah, the board packet can still go out, but you can get this, hopefully.
If I can by Monday, then we can just hand it
Yeah,
out at the
okay.
meeting, true.
Yeah.
But the resolution then would have to be updated with the right dollar
Yeah,
amount.
if we have to wait, if it isn't updated, and we have, it doesn't kill us to wait another month, does it? Or that's right, we have to do the dedication before they can do.
Yeah, they might, yeah, I don't know how quick they are wanting to get meters set, so.
Just send Ty down there to the work site and knock on the trailer door. There's bound to be an engineer there.
Well, I'll make an interesting comment, so as we look to the future, just about this and the 2-meter thing. So as you look at, if we were ever to be connected to the ABEC system, one of the ways that they collect fees is they charge sort of this standard fee of $5,000, of which the district gets none, for it's a little over $5,000 for like a 3/4 inch. And then there's multiples of that as you go up in size. So a 4-inch meter is 5,000 times maybe 4 or 6, and a 2-inch meter is 5,000 times 2. When you get up to if you were to get up to a 12-inch connection, it's 100 times 5,000, or $500,000 that goes to ABEC. So there's we'll talk more about cost, but like one of the things that we'll look at here is if we were currently tied to ABEC, those costs would be pretty dramatically higher to this particular customer. And it's something we need to think about as we look to the future if we were to be connected to ABEC, because those fees just go through us and straight to ABEC.
I don't know anything about that. What you're saying is, if we're getting water through the AVIC system, we've got to pay them for every meter we put in?
Exactly, and it's a
I'd
big cost. And that's why I bring it up, because I can actually show you the table, and we will get into that in more detail.
Why would that be? How would they know what's going through that meter, where it's our water or AVIC water?
It's what
I don't want to get into a discussion. It's something that we need to find out what this is.
Yeah, so what it does is it pays for ABEC to expand, and as their system gets bigger, I think it's related. It's not very clear, but it is related to like how they support the infrastructure, all the stuff upstream of that meter that they.
That doesn't make. I've never heard that.
I can tell you that's how they
Yeah.
charge Boron. That's how they charge California City. It's right there in their rates. It's pretty interesting.
But they're not the distributor.
Yeah, they're
We
distributed.
are.
We are.
We're buying bulk water.
I'm only telling you what happens
Oh,
when you hook
yeah.
to ABEC.
I would like to think there's some misunderstanding of what that is, because all the studies I've done, including the cost of meters in Mojave, Cal City, when we do rate studies here, I always check those costs over there. I've never seen anything out of line of what we do, ever. So unless AVIC just started doing it, I haven't seen it. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I'd like to see exactly what that is, because I'd have a hard time believing that, because, like certain time of the year we're getting 2,000 acre feet from them. So another time we might be getting 5, and it's blended with our water. Now I can understand some major metering system for water coming our way within the whole system. They have to meter it somehow. And don't forget, they're going to be charging us fees anyway on a yearly basis, which is not the fixed fee, but the maintenance fees. So we're going to get charged those anyway, which is to do what you said. So anyway, there's no sense in discussing it here.
But we're buying bulk water.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll have some healthy discussion.
I have some
when the time comes.
interesting rate charts from some of these other districts that I'll share with you guys at a future
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah, now if they're the provider, if they're the local supplier of the water, if they're like the IWV water district of Mojave or Cal City, maybe I can understand them doing great things.
Oh, sure.
But as a water cell, I don't know.
And if
Yeah.
they're collecting the fees from each one of the customers,
Because if that's another hidden fee that's in this thing, that's huge.
I don't know if that's the whole question. Is that the way they pay for one of these fees in this thing, or is that a separate fee? And I think it's related to how they pay for some of this stuff. And I'm not sure. I'm still investigating.
Yeah, I
It's
definitely.
just an
because
interesting,
I'm not sure what
it's an
they're
interesting
paying
thing,
for.
because I
Yeah,
think we discussed it with some people when we were on a field trip out there. And
yeah, that just seems out of line. But anyway, check on it and let us know, because that's an important issue, obviously, for the cost of our ratepayers.
oh, yeah.
particular, I think it becomes really important when you start talking about hooking into like this Dune 3, like what would happen if we connected to them? How much would that fee be? Those are things that would be important to look at, like how it would impact our ability to expand our system or inhibit other people from joining into our system.
Yeah, oh,
But we'll see. I'm sure we'll
Yeah,
find something
well-
out.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, if we get to that point.
yeah, if we get to that point,
If
yeah.
we get there.
In my mind, I think maybe it's another reason to
Yeah,
not.
exactly.
Quite frankly, but, okay, I'm sorry,
That's fine. We're on
Sorry, I
to
digress.
nothing for the public, nothing. Okay, we'll move on to number 5. Well 33 update.
Well 33 was brought online on October 17th and has been running since then. We test it weekly for VACT, and we'll do that for a month until it comes back clear for that time period, and then it'll go to its normal schedule.
Is it still knocking?
It's
Like this?
It's not knocking as much, but as I was said yesterday, all metal wears down eventually, so the knocking will go away.
Well, don't we, I mean, we have data on like well 34 and well 35 that we could compare it to, don't we?
For the knocking,
For knocking, yeah.
well, I mean, the contractor that did the work, were sent the video of the knocking, and they came up and looked at it again, and they were comfortable with it. The field personnel was comfortable with the knocking that it was, as it was going on. I know Renee reached out to Tim from Best, and I don't believe she's heard back yet.
Have you guys ever heard anything like this? In the knocking on other wells and other pumps?
Well, yeah, that's.
So we hear knocking, and normally it's addressed and repaired.
Yeah, but I mean, in normal running, you usually don't hear it. Okay, as long as there's a warranty or guarantee on this from these guys, because they're the ones who said it was fine. You know, that's what worries me.
Yeah, they made an adjustment to
Right.
the packing nut, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is, remember, a pump that we had here in the warehouse that was taken out of well 34
Right.
and rebuilt. And yeah, so
So somewhere along the line, it was rebuilt, you know, we gotta track that real
by
closely.
another company, of course.
Yeah,
not
by another
them,
company,
but,
of course, but I mean, if you go to them and if you were to let them hear the knocking, the
yeah.
company rebuilt it, what would they say? Or have they heard
I would
it?
say it's not the pump that's knocking.
They would say it was the installation by the other company.
Well, and it might have been, you know, but.
I just wanna make sure, you know, if in 5 months this thing breaks down because the knocking wasn't addressed properly,
Right.
who's financially responsible for it?
Yeah.
Is it under warranties or
I
guarantees?
totally agree.
Yeah, I just wanna be.
I mean, we don't want to be hard ass about it on one hand, on the other hand, we need to be reasonable, but we also need to protect ourselves.
Yeah. Okay. So watch it close, you know, keep your ears to it.
I will continue to
Yeah.
try to have further discussions with them.
Okay. Nothing else there? Number 6, Indian Kern Road transmission and pipeline repair. It's all done, right?
Yeah, the district is working with KNS as far as the design, and we're also working with Cal Muni for the bond issuance. The plan is to try to have it awarded at the February board meeting and have our first meeting with the contractor, whoever wins the bid, first week of March. And depending on how long it takes to procure all the components, hopefully
It's-
have it in the ground, I mean, as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, what's the estimated time frame once you break ground?
If they have everything they need, I'd say 4 to 6 months.
Okay, wow.
Ooh,
We
So
could-
we're gonna miss summer.
If they're able to start almost immediately, we'll be
Right,
making it very close.
very close to summer, yeah.
Okay, and we're still including the Springer effort in with the total loan?
With the financing, yes.
Okay,
Okay, so we're gonna do both jobs, and we're gonna contract separately for one and the other?
Right, we're securing all the money at once. We'll do the Northwest transmission line, and then we'll transition over to the Springer.
The current plan is while they're installing the Indian Kern Road transmission line, we'll have crews that are potholing and getting ready for the Springer line.
okay. What is where is the Springer one? I know it's on Springer, but from where to where? Is it from College Heights Boulevard to
Mahan, I believe.
Yeah.
the Mahan? So, yeah. Okay, so, yeah, it'll be a mess out there for a while.
So it's just enlarging the existing pipeline, is
Yeah,
that correct?
we're gonna run parallel, just to make sure, because we want this one to be strictly a transmission line, so we'll keep the 16 that's currently there as a distribution line.
Oh, okay,
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 good deal.
makes sense.
All right. Nothing goes quickly, does it? That's for sure. All right. Booster station and tanks.
I probably should have just said booster station now, huh?
That's right. Booster, yeah, just booster station.
Yeah. So work is continuing up there. The contractor this last month has been concentrating on chlorinating and rechlorinating and rechlorinating. Unfortunately, having issues with getting everything to pass.
Yeah.
So, we were just informed today of the latest results, and they will yet again be chlorinating again. So
What causes that? Why?
they're either getting, like this time, they did have one of the 4 samples that was positive for coliform. Last time it was very high plate counts, which is indicative of maybe probably, dirt and stuff like that in there. So this time they didn't have high plate counts, but they did have one positive for coliform. So
Eventually we'll get there.
eventually it'll work. But the contract completion date is sitting right now at December 6th. But because of these delays with getting things chlorinated and passed, then it may be pushed a little more. So
Okay.
we'll see. We'll have a meeting this Wednesday.
Maybe we'll get it by Christmas.
Well, getting the new station online, once they have that, then there is the destruction of the old one too.
That's right, yeah.
That's part of the contract.
Okay. All right. Actually, we don't have a lot of public to this meeting, do we? We must be boring. Okay, arsenic treatment.
You are, actually.
That's, yeah.
You're okay. We had a small window where the weather was just right to recoat the roof, so they were able to get the roof at plant 2 done and begin the process at plant 1. We're in the process of getting the plants ready to go off for the season. We also have, we had to rescreen the shaker for the media, so they're doing that right now so that we can begin the process.
You guys were cleaning up, yeah,
Yeah, we're separating it.
yeah.
So they're rescreening, putting a new screen in the shaker so that we can begin that process again.
Okay. Nothing urgent. It's just getting done.
Right now, everything feels urgent.
Yeah, I know. There's just so much happening between the pipelines and the tanks and the booster pumps, and it's just all at once. But just think how next summer will just be
It's so smooth.
smooth sailing,
All
sailing.
this
Yeah.
stuff done.
Yeah. Knock on wood. All right. Number 9, cost, operations, impact of receiving imported water. Okay, that's the one that was added in here. That's this thing, George.
Yeah, so let me start by saying that we had a video teleconference with our legal, their legal, the GA, and there were some interesting comments made. We asked for some clarification on costs above and beyond. So we have a above and beyond construction costs. So we have a relatively solid idea and don't have really significant disagreements with the GA's cost on the cost of construction. There's all these other costs that we need to consider. And we believe that it's really important for the board to understand how this is going to impact people's taxes and how it's going to impact their water bill so they can really formulate good positions with respect to, should there be alterations to the pipeline project? What would happen if it came? What would happen to our customers? So one of the interesting things that came up was GA Legal suggested that we should figure out who pays what of all these other costs. So how much, who's going to pay for, so let's say, purchasing water rights or O&M of the pipeline or some of these other significant costs that will come with this project. And so I thought in this meeting, I would sort of discuss, not necessarily the details of the cost, but we are engaging with them to try to understand what the costs will be, and then ultimately try to figure out who will pay those costs and how they'll be paid. So we know they've asked for like 170 something million as a grant that wouldn't be repaid. That's only a 75% of the total construction cost. The other 25% they said would likely be financed. That turns into a pretty big number. And then beyond that, there's purchasing water and all this other stuff. So in this meeting, what's important is the current plan is to have the water district accept all of the water from the pipeline. Now, one option within their plan is if Cerros Valley Minerals stays within the valley and continues to pump water out, they need to have some sort of offset for what they're pumping out, because under the GA plan, they don't get an allocation. And they would expect that the district somehow absorbs that extra 2,400 into our system and distributes it in addition to, so, and we think that that's not really a good way to sort of bring water in there to make us, so whoever uses, the plan was like, no matter where growth occurs or where additional water use occurs, somehow the district has to absorb that growth as we go into the future. So we have suggested to them that while we may not fully agree with their assessment that percolation ponds are a good idea here, or not, we've suggested that because the pipeline comes up and over the hill, has a tremendous amount of head as it comes down the hill, that there's the possibility that we could do injection wells. The theory being that there's this sort of this clay layer and you punch down into the deeper part of the aquifer and you can use, I guess you could use pumps or whatever to provide that pressure. It seems pretty logical from an engineering perspective that the pressure coming down the pipe could be sized in such a way and regulated that you could actually inject water. So maybe instead of us being asked to receive water to offset Searles Valley minerals, that water could be directly injected here as an offset to whatever they draw out over there. And then as we progress to the future, if some other entity needed water, they could simply pay to have additional water injected into the aquifer to offset wherever it is they chose to draw water from the aquifer. And I think that allows, a more robust growth in the future as you look at it. And it's something that we've sort of gone back and forth in a lot of emails, and whether that's cost effective or not, but I think it's an option worth exploring if this pipeline were to come.
It's definitely not easy. But as I see it, the only cost that's not going to have to be absorbed, probably by the water district, is all these capital, this $171 million they're getting. Everything else from the financing and the financing, the amount plus the finance charge of $69 million, plus all the typical operating costs, fixed and not, are all going to be end up absorbed by us. But as far as us taking the water, I think it presents so many issues with us, and I'm sure engineering would agree. I mean, you start pumping water into our system, quality issues, pipeline issues, size, pumping, blending, whatever you want to call it.
Even getting it distributed through the system.
Yeah, even getting distributed. So to me, the most ideal thing to do is inject into our aquifer. Just get into our aquifer. I'm not sure what the type of water quality you have. I don't know if anything needs to be done to it before it would be injected. But
Well, there would be, but you're right, there will be a quality issue regarding what kind of water we
Yes.
inject.
so
into
so
the
so
ground.
bringing it directly to us, and then it's almost like if we're getting too much, are we going to be responsible for injecting it? It could turn into that. It could say, okay, you're getting all the water, but you don't need it all because it's not here, so you need to inject it. I don't want to see us turning into taking on that cost.
Yeah.
But at this particular point, I think what you're trying to do, George, is to get this information so that the team of Mel and David St. Armand can get together and start making some future predictions if this happens.
Yeah.
And I think you're there because except for that 171 million you're getting, almost everything else, as far as I see it, is a yearly charge.
Yeah,
Right.
and I'll note, we're gonna talk more detail about these spreadsheets that are in front of you in the finance meeting, but
Yeah.
really, the numbers presented by the GA in this table 3 are not terribly different than our numbers, not orders of magnitudes. It may be, we might be twice as expensive, or,
This doesn't even match the last presentation they did. The last presentation they did, they had the capital costs up to 212 or 14 million dollars.
yeah, this is actually from the groundwater sustainability plan.
Okay, so this is their original,
So
okay.
So even way back then, they said, okay, we need, 177 million to build it, but then, of course, costs have gone up, and then,
Right.
they're not counting what has to be financed and what's a grant. And their water acquisition rights of 48 million is not that different than our estimates of somewhere around 50-something million.
Right.
The O&M costs are sort of in the same ballpark, and the AVEC, sort of those AVEC, $5 or $6 million a year. Those costs aren't terribly far off from kind of where we end up. We might be in a range that's maybe double that.
From their last presentation, our numbers are closer for the capital costs. I remember them being just over 200 million, or 212 or 14, almost maybe 220. But where they were really, really off, in my opinion, was the operating costs and the finance costs and all that. So I don't think that we're too far off from their numbers that were at the last presentation by Pritchard and Provost.
Well, yeah, and
Provost and Pritchard.
if you just simply add in these sort of financing costs for the, you know, the pipeline and the water, the water rights acquisition costs, you know, those, even those estimates that are old, that's gonna be another, you know, significant percentage on there. So what we really wanna do is to meet with them. They've been reluctant to do so. They,
Yeah, I know.
sort of have, I've told the board that we would try to meet. I've asked numerous times for them to schedule a meeting, and I get a lot of sort of back and forth about different subjects and red herrings that kind of distract us, and then I've let them know that our position is that you need to actually prove to us that you are willing to meet by actually scheduling a meeting and doing it. You know, so we're gonna see if that happens, and we hope it does, because we really do want to work with them and get the best numbers for our customers as possible.
Have you been successful at keeping the lawyers out of their meeting?
So the meeting we agreed to, and this is an interesting point, so we had, in the face-to-face meeting, what we talked about was the lawyers are needed when we start talking about how do you take the cost and give, you know, what goes on a Prop 218, what goes on property tax, all that. But the actual costs are something that the staff should go through, like, this is what we think water's gonna cost, this is what we think O&M is gonna cost. So we were trying to limit the lawyer's input on this initial meeting, but the lawyer, in particular, the GA legal counsel seemed pretty, like, they just didn't seem very happy about that sort of approach to meeting, and then maybe nailing down what the costs are, and then having a follow-on meeting with the lawyers, say, well, here's what the costs are, and now let's try to figure out who's gonna pay these costs.
But our experience tells us that the only thing you're gonna get a grant for is the capital project. Anything that's a yearly operating cost, and Ty, you can confirm this, anything that's a yearly operating cost, purchase of water, whatever it is, including your interest and your borrowing fees and your bonds, all that is a yearly cost. So that's what I would
Well,
take.
And the view
even
that I've
paying off the bond is
Yeah.
part of the
It's
$31 million
it's yearly, yeah,
per year annual cost.
right,
Yeah.
paying off the bond, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so one of the things that also you'll hear from the GA is that, you know, the other, you know, there is that option if Searles Valley Minerals pays, that they are gonna pay for a significant part of that cost. Now, I can't say whether they will or not, but that is certainly what you'll hear from the GA when you talk to them about, you know, the amount of water coming in. They will say, oh, it's not all gonna fall in the water district, Searles Valley Minerals is gonna take care of this, and if, I guess if Searles Valley Minerals goes away, there's some smaller project that then gets put in place, but I don't even know how that gets decided.
I don't want to hold up the team that's working on this. I think that if you can't get anything further from it, we make the assumption that we're paying for everything. And let them work that into their program that says, okay, in 5 years or 6 years, if this happens, and here's gonna be the cost of the district. This is subject to change based on other distribution of costs. How long are we gonna wait? You know, we just wait and wait and wait.
Hopefully, we have that meeting in December and we can start.
And I don't think they can tell you either what they expect Searles Valley is gonna get charged, or may get charged, or may pay.
Has the GA been talking with Searles Valley Minerals?
No, obviously,
to-
they're just involved in a lawsuit over the.
Yeah, it's a lawsuit.
Well, that was kind of what I was assuming with the lawsuit. They have no idea
Yeah.
what Searles Valley Minerals is willing or not willing to do.
And the adjudication is important too, because don't forget Searles Valley is saying their rights predate the base. So you don't know what's gonna happen in adjudication.
Well, yeah, except that it's not overlying water rights. because They transport it off of.
Right, and I'm not a judge, I can't
property.
make that decision. They're just arguing that their rights
Oh, yeah.
precede the base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They-
Anyway, I don't wanna hold up this meeting much longer. I know we got the other
Yeah.
one. You sit on the finance, don't you, Stan?
Yes.
With David, okay.
Yes.
All right. So, yeah, I'm sure there'll be more discussion about this, but I think we need to bring this to fruition fairly quick so the team can get working on what the long-range
Oh,
impact
well,
is.
yeah, and George is trying to get together with the GA, and that
Yeah,
seems
not
to me to be
success,
the next step, is to get agreement on what those costs really are.
As long as the lawyers are involved in that, it's not gonna happen.
Well, but if you divide it up the way George is talking about, the cost being separate from how we pay for those costs, that will help.
Yeah, and so we'll, you know, we continue to ask the GA to meet with us and discuss these things, and, you know, we're gonna have to move ahead and give the board our best, estimates, and these are getting better and better as we go through time and start to understand how things are built, so.
Just remember what Phil Hall said, that if a cost involves delivering one drop of water, then that can't be on a tax table. In other words, you can't put it as a Prop 218.
Yeah.
And everything else except for the capital cost is delivering water. Yeah. So that's where we are. Let's leave it at that for now. I'm sure there'll be much more discussion on
Yeah, like
this.
as
Yeah.
noted in the agenda, this is just a discussion item, and I
Do you
think
want to
we'll-
leave, this for the finance committee?
Yes.
Look, I'll leave this here. Yes.
And good luck, by the way.
Yeah. I'm actually enjoying it. It's a challenge.
I don't think you have to leave it, Ron. I think that she has more copies for finance.
Oh, do you?
Do you have Lauren yet?
I was the one who made the copies, so.
Yeah. Oh, you weren't? Oh,
Okay,
okay.
that's fine, because I'm sure we're going to see more of those at the board meeting.
All right.
At least, with that, is there any future agenda items?
I do have actually an old agenda item that I wanted to bring up again. At one point in time, we were looking at an effort to look at the health of all of our pipelines. When we, remember when we started having problems, we said we were gonna contract with some contractor that was buying a piece of equipment
Yeah. We
that
have-
could actually determine underground what the health of the various pipelines were.
The other transmission lines that have steel in particular. Not all of them, just those transmission lines, one on Bowman and one on Springer, that are steel lined, mortar lined and coated. Yes, we are looking at putting that in the budget for the next fiscal year, so.
Okay, now we've already given them a few dollars, haven't we? Because we were encouraging them to buy some new equipment, right?
Well,
What was the story there?
if we were to contract with them, they would do that, yes. They would make the equipment that we need.
Okay, so right now, are they actually going forward with getting the equipment?
No,
Okay, and they're not going to until we get a contract? with them?
correct. It's quite an expensive endeavor. It was like $500,000 or something, so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
it is something we want to do because we do want to determine if we have, what condition the steel is in, basically.
And they're
on those
the only
pipelines.
company that can do this?
It is a proprietary service, yes.
Oh. Boy.
All right, that's where you
Okay,
are.
well, next year's budget.
All right,
Yeah. We were just talking about this yesterday, actually.
all right. Are we done?
Yes,
So
sir.
the next meeting in, we'll adjourn this meeting at 2:37.